Greetings, knowledge seekers. In the vast and dark void of the cosmos floated Yang Liwei, the protagonist of this story and the first Chinese man in space. Yang had left behind Earth's atmosphere and was slowly entering an increasingly overwhelming silence. It was his first venture into space, but the pride of being the first in his country to venture into the darkness of the cosmos wasn't the only thing awaiting Yang in the solitude of his space capsule. October 15, 2003. Yang Liwei, an experienced combat pilot in the Chinese Air Force, had been selected from among all his colleagues to become the pride of his country. He was about to be sent into space, making China the third nation to do so after the Soviet Union and the United States. Yang had prepared extensively, like all astronauts going into space, and even more so if you're the first to do so in a rocket and space capsule that had never been tested with humans before. So much so that he decided to buy a video camera before his trip to get used to handling it and to record anything that might happen, whatever it might be. The rocket that propelled Yang's capsule into space was the same one that China still uses today in its manned missions, a Long March 2F. That October 15, 2003, the rocket performed an almost perfect launch, sending the Shenzhou 5 capsule and its lone occupant into space. Yes, Yang was traveling alone, or at least that was the theory. The Shenzhou is a capsule that can transport up to 3 astronauts. However, on this first mission with humans aboard, Yang was traveling alone. And as he moved away from Earth, the silence, though expected, became unsettling. There were no sounds in that vast void, only the echo of his own breathing and the electronic devices in that small space capsule. But then, in the midst of that overwhelming silence, the knocking began. The sounds like a distant echo. Yang described them as resembling a wooden hammer striking an iron bucket. Moreover, the knocking didn't stop. The vibration made the entire structure of the space capsule tremble. Yang Liwei, scared, couldn't help but feel a pang of nervousness. "Something is hitting my ship," he said. And in an act of bravery and curiosity, Yang approached one of the capsule's windows, observing the stellar void that stretched before him. But there was nothing there, only the vast darkness of space, an infinite curtain of blackness and stars. There was no apparent explanation for the mysterious knocking that was unsettling him. Not even a sign of an entity or any visible threat, something that might be hitting the hull of the ship. Nothing. And yet, the knocking didn't stop. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't discern the source of those knocks. And that's when he began to consider the possibility that the sound was only in his head. After all, one of the greatest fears of space agencies and manned missions in general is that the minds of astronauts, isolated in the infinite darkness of space and subjected to constant psychological pressure, might lead to illusions, hallucinations, creating horrors that don't exist and triggering a spiral of anxiety that could derail the mission. Numerous isolation experiments have been conducted with humans, locked up for long periods in environments that tried to simulate the solitude and isolation of space to understand and prevent these psychological dangers that astronauts face in missions. And the truth is, most of them haven't ended well. Constant isolation with the same people and the repetition of the same tasks over and over again, with nothing else to do, end up eroding the participants' morale. But Yang Liwei had been in orbit for less than a day. In fact, his mission lasted no more than 24 hours. Therefore, it didn't seem like enough time to develop dementia, certainly. And yet, there he was, trapped between reality and illusion, fighting against the fears lurking in the darkness of space. The line between what is real and what is imaginary was blurring, and the explorer's mind was becoming his greatest enemy. But the sounds, as he would later find out, were real. Terrifyingly real. Space, as was already known, is a vacuum in which sound waves cannot travel, as they require a material medium to propagate. Therefore, Yang Liwei knew that the noise couldn't be coming from outer space, but it wasn't coming from inside his ship either. Yang Liwei knew that apparatus like the back of his hand. He had trained for many years of his life for this. In fact, he mentions in an interview that he bought a video camera to record the interior of the capsule during training and memorize all the details at home to identify each of those sounds. And surely, Yang Liwei would have been able to pilot his capsule with his eyes closed. Knowing that those noises were not normal and couldn't be coming from his head, Yang Liwei placed a hand on the capsule's fuselage, and that's when he was sure. Something was shaking the ship's fuselage. He could feel those vibrations with every knock, But what or who was causing those knocks? He was hundreds of miles from anything else beyond his ship. He was hundreds of miles from anything beyond the safety of Earth. He didn't know, and he didn't want his nervousness to be noticed on the radio. As an astronaut, Yang Liwei knew very well that if he wanted to travel on another mission into space, he had to be very careful about what he said, and especially to whom he said it. So during the mission, he said nothing and tried to carry out the tasks he had been training for so long. The first Chinese taikonaut in space wasn't up there on vacation, so he let work and tasks occupy his mind until it was time to re-enter Earth. The Shenzhou 5 fired its engines for the deorbit maneuver after just over 20 hours in Earth's orbit and landed perfectly in the central Mongolia area. But Yang Liwei remained obsessed with those knocks, and, as a man of science, he tried to replicate those knocks over and over with the same materials from the capsule that he managed to bring home. But he could never achieve an identical sound. He could never achieve a sound like the ones he himself heard inside his space capsule up there in space. But eventually, over the years, Yang Liwei slowly lost the fear of talking about it. And years later, he first revealed the phenomenon of the strange knocks on the ship during a Chinese television interview. In this interview, Yang Liwei also mentioned that he warned his colleagues on the Shenzhou 6 and 7 missions about these knocks, and strangely, those same colleagues, when they returned to Earth, told him that they too had heard those same knocks on the ship. The intrigue and speculation still surround this matter to this day, and the causes that originated these knocks remain a complete mystery to science. Was something hitting his ship? Was there something that wanted to get inside? Or was it simply the ship's structure behaving in a way that no one had predicted? Well, the truth is, I'm afraid this will always be one of those mysteries that we may never know. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more intriguing stories. And if you thought this was captivating, wait until you hear about the astonishing discovery hidden in ancient coal. It's a mystery that will leave you questioning everything you know. See you in the next video. As we continue to explore the cosmos, stories like Yang Liwei's remind us of the mysteries that still lie beyond our understanding. Whether it's the unexplained knocks on a space capsule or the vast unknowns of space itself, the universe continues to challenge and inspire us. Stay curious, and who knows what other enigmas we might uncover on our journey into the stars. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more intriguing stories. If you thought this was captivating, wait until you hear about the astonishing discovery hidden in ancient coal. It's a mystery that will leave you questioning everything you know. See you in the next video.